This December, Mercedes is rolling out its C Coupe, the sportiest version of the C-Class. The most powerful C-Class coupe, the C300, comes with a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine that puts out up to 180 kilowatts. But our car tester Mathis Kurat wants a sportier ride, and this engine will provide it.
Es geht noch mehr, nämlich mit diesem Motor hier.
It's a 4-liter V8 twin-turbocharged gasoline engine in the AMG C63 S model. It's chock full of decibels and chock full of fun. Of course, you can't really let it rip on a country road, so Mathis says he'll head for the famous Ascari racetrack, which is not far away.
Und hier in der Nähe, da ist die berühmte Ascari-Rennstrecke und da werde ich mich jetzt mal hinbegeben.
But before we open it up on the racetrack, let's take a closer look at this brawny sports coupe. All that the AMG version retains from the much more reserved production model is the doors, roof, and trunk lid. The extremely wide fender broadens the AMG coupe by 6 centimeters. Taking its cue from motorsports, Mercedes has reduced the interior to the essentials. In the S version, the V8 twin-turbo has a maximum torque of 700 Newton-meters and a breathtaking sound. On the way to the Ascari track, we already get an impression of the car's handling and how impressively it accelerates. Mathis cautions that the AMG demands a sensitive foot on the gas pedal. Even if the road is dry, if you accelerate too powerfully out of a curve, you feel the muscular torque on the rear axle.
Brutal.
Mathis likes the tight steering, not at all like Mercedes' typically squishy middle range. The AMG has a real sports car feel. Mathis doesn't like the gearshift lever on the steering column. It may be typical for Mercedes, but it doesn't really belong in an AMG model. Another lever adjusts the suspension to any driving situation, whether country road or racetrack. Unlike the production version of the C-Class coupe, says Mathis, the AMG variant's dynamic selector offers no fuel-saving eco mode, just Sport, Sport Plus, and Race as alternatives to the Comfort mode. We'll be in Ascari in a jiffy, and Mathis can't wait to shift to race mode. It reduces the effect of the electronic stability control and makes the engine more aggressive, as you can hear. The flaps near the exhaust pipe are opened wide, and the engine really roars. Mathis is afraid the noise would give him a headache on long hauls, but it's fine on the racetrack. The Ascari Race Resort is not an ordinary racetrack. It combines replicas of segments of legendary racetracks in one course, so it's ideal for taking the Mercedes-AMG C63 S Coupe to its limits. Even a beginner can have fun with the Sport Coupe. Mathis leaves testing the car's limits to the professional racing drivers. In race mode, the ESP is restricted, letting the driver drift around curves.
Motor ausmachen.
Mathis is enthusiastic about the engine and about the brakes, whose power, he says, kept him out of trouble several times on the track. He reckons that it would take practice to keep up with the professionals with this vehicle in Ascari.
Profis mithalten kann, da dauert's noch ein bisschen.
Our man Andre Zimmerman says if you're looking for a mid-sized car with cutting-edge technology and great design, try the Infiniti Q50. It was first launched on the market back in 2013, so it's not exactly new, but the Infiniti Q50 is still a real head-turner. And it's surprisingly quiet. That's thanks to the hybrid drive. But the Infiniti Q50 has more surprises to offer that definitely set it apart from its rivals. One of the larger and more noticeable ones can be found inside. A nice detail in the cabin is that you have two screens. The top one is reserved for either the around view camera system or the GPS. But then below you can still see, say, how much fuel you're using. When it comes to the exterior, the shape may not stand out so much, but the lines are sleek. And then there's those sickle-shaped LED headlights. The unmistakable gaze, as Infiniti calls it, that certainly give the car presence and radiate a raw power. Not something you necessarily expect from a fuel-economic hybrid. The same signature lights also grace the rear. The capacity of the trunk is limited, just 300 liters. That's definitely a weakness in the Japanese car compared with its European rivals. The hybrid drive is noticeably sporty, designed above all for speed. A high performer that's certainly enjoyable to drive. Space may be lacking in the trunk, but the Infiniti makes up for it in the cabin, with a generous amount of space for passengers. The Q50 comes with 3 drive versions that are sold on the European market. There's the diesel and petrol engines, and then there's the gasoline hybrid version, which is the one we're testing. It offers 268 kilowatts and can power from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in just 5.1 seconds, thanks to the electric motor. Top speed is 250 kilometers an hour, and fuel economy 6.2 liters. One thing Andre likes is the metal shift pedals on the Q50. The only drawback is that they have plastic finishing that's quite sharp on the edges. The Q50 has 3 different drive settings: Standard, Sport, and Eco. And that's not all. You can also choose your own settings in 96 different categories, allowing the car to be tailored to the individual needs of the driver. Those who find the Eco setting a little too tame can switch to Sports mode. The Q50 then sounds really good, and it certainly moves. The steering also becomes tighter and more direct. For Andre's taste, it's a little too tight, but even then, there's a solution. You can select individual mode and adjust the settings to what you want. The interior feels luxurious and inviting. The double-screen center console is the definite highlight. The infotainment system is operated by touchpad, or if you prefer, by voice command. The multifunctional steering wheel includes cruise control as standard for the first time. The leather-appointed upholstery also helps to give a high-quality feel. The letter Q plays an important role in Infiniti's philosophy. The first Infiniti model was the Q45. The Q50 was designed to hail the start of a new, distinctly sporty series. The Q50 is pretty chic, but Infiniti is not doing so well in Germany. First, there's the high starting price, around 53,000 euros for the hybrid version, compared with a plug-in hybrid like the Passat GTE that goes for just 44,000. Even worse, Germany currently has only 6 dealers who offer Infiniti. So the Q50 has plenty to offer. But if Infiniti really wants to power ahead in Europe, a few changes may be needed. The Lexus RX has been very popular in the United States since it came out in 1998. Its newest generation is targeting the German market as well. The new edition has more advanced engines, state-of-the-art safety packages, and unprecedented comfort. The basic model starts at 51,250 euros in Germany. Volvo will unveil its S90 in January 2016 at the North American International Auto Show in Detroit. Footage of the new premium sedan in action has already been released. The new Volvo S90 has a semi-autonomous driving assistant that subtly intervenes in steering to keep the car on track at speeds from 0 to 130 kilometers per hour, a further step toward fully automated driving. The S90 will hit showrooms in summer 2016. Everyone wants to set himself apart from the crowd, says our car tester Reinhold Deisenhofer. The Opel Adam provides plenty of individualism with many different roof and chassis colors and special interior details. But of course, a modern subcompact has to be practical and thrifty as well. A modern 3-cylinder engine needs to provide respectable power with low fuel consumption. We tested the Opel Adam with the 1-liter Ecotec direct injection engine, which comes in 2 versions producing 66 or 85 kilowatts. We tested the more powerful version. Opel says it gets 100 kilometers on 5.1 liters of gasoline. The Adam has received many awards for its design with all the individualization options. The car's 2-tone paint scheme makes it an eye-catcher. The roof seems like a sun sail stretched over the body. Consumers are attracted to the model variants, like the convertible version and the crossover Adam Rocks. Reinhold says subcompacts like the Opel Adam are conceived for inner-city use, so the Adam's turning radius could have been a little tighter. But the flex-fix system that Opel developed especially to transport bicycles is very practical. A little drawer you can pull out of the rear will hold a bike weighing up to 30 kilograms, and an optional adapter will carry a second bike. The Adam's flex-fix system costs 590 euros. The adapter for the second bicycle is another 200 euros. The Adam thereby combines a high degree of practicality with an attractive design. That's quite a plus point, because car buyers often have to choose either functionality or looks. The Adam's interior design offers a wealth of individual design options. Not only colors, but also patterns pep up the dashboard. And the IntelliLink infotainment system lets you link your cell phone with the vehicle. How individual does your car need to be? The Opel Adam has colored clips on the wheel rims, stars on the roof, playful patterns on the dashboard, and 10 different colors of interior lighting. But to sell your car after a few years, you'll need to find a buyer who has similar taste.
Und das könnte dann schwierig sein, so ein persönliches Fahrzeug an den Mann zu bringen.
The Circuit de Barcelona is the venue for the season final of the Seat Leon Euro Cup. The one-make touring car series began in 2008. Competitors drive Seat Leons with 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo engines. The season comprises 7 race meetings, with 2 races at each meeting. Each race is 50 to 60 kilometers. Last year's winner, Paul Roussel, is expecting the final to be tough.
I think this championship is a great championship. There are a lot of drivers. The main drivers are very competitive, aggressive. All of them want to win. So it's very difficult to arrive in the podium. If you want to stay in the podium, you have to fight.
Paul Roussel of Spain and Norway's Stian Paulsen were running neck and neck with 72 points each as they started the final race for the title. 3 men from Germany have come to watch the final. They're actually professional actors, but their dream is to have a career in racing. Professional race car driver Sebastian Stahl says he knows they've all earned their basic racing license, but that's just the start. He suggests they all go watch the race on this great track. Tom Beck has already had some experience with a real racing car. He trained under Sebastian Stahl to get his initial license. Tom says one of his first training sessions was driving a Cup racer. Finding himself alone on the track with a Cup racer was probably a once-in-a-lifetime experience and pretty cool. And then he did his license in Mendig, Germany.
Das war ziemlich cool und dann in Mendig die Lizenz gemacht.
Simon Böhr has also done a few rounds on the racetrack with Sebastian, on the legendary Nürburgring North Loop, no less. So they have their first basic license. They know what the different flags mean and a few other things. Now they need to start qualifying for small races. So they need to compete and be among the first 5 to finish the race. Then they get their extended license. And so they work from race to race and series to series, which of course become increasingly international and get various licenses. Until at some stage they hopefully get a top license, and then they can take part in the really, really big races.
Die natürlich dann immer internationaler werden zu den verschiedenen Lizenzen, bis dass du dann irgendwann mal eventuell ganz oben eine Lizenz bekommst und da ja, ganz große Rennen mitfahren kannst.
Gerrit Klein has also received training from Sebastian Stahl. He says acting and racing have more in common than you'd think. They both involve concentration, so Gerrit feels well prepared. He says he's learned how to study the racetrack. Sebastian looks at everything closely. He studies each bend in the track and asks what speed does he need going into which bend. Gerrit says acting is no different. He prepares his roles, thinks his way into his character. Time will tell whether Tom, Simon, and Gerrit have a future in professional motorsport. In the meantime, they can learn plenty at events like this. They watch Paul Roussel successfully defend his title in Barcelona and hope that one day they could be in his place. It has the aerodynamic contours we'd expect of a Porsche. The differential lock and broadly flared fenders hint at a sporting pedigree. It features lightweight construction and a low center of gravity. But this Porsche is no sports car. It's a tractor. Car tester Christoph Bauer made sure to get detailed instructions on how to start a Porsche Junior. First, you engage the hand throttle, then push a switch forward down by the engine to open the flow of fuel. You climb aboard, push the key in. If it's cold, you have to preheat the engine, but that's not the case now. Then you pull the ignition switch, and off it goes. As early as 1937, the prolific designer Ferdinand Porsche started developing a people's tractor alongside the people's car, the Volkswagen Beetle. By 1956, the Porsche company was offering a range of 4 tractor models with varying power output and numbers of cylinders. The starting model was the single-cylinder Junior. Christoph is thrilled with his Porsche's top speed of 19.9 kilometers an hour, as long as no sheep are in the way. Also available are 2- and 3-cylinder models, and even the 4-cylinder Porsche Diesel Master with an amazing top speed of 27 kilometers an hour. Porsche Dieselmotorenbau in Friedrichshafen rolled out some 120,000 tractors from 1956 to 1963. The day's Formula One elite were seated prominently on the Porsche Junior for advertising effect. By 1957, the year after the Junior debuted, Porsche Diesel had achieved the zenith of its success, with the second highest number of new tractors registered in Germany. Christoph says at the time, Porsche stressed ease of operation. After all, farmers' wives and children ought to be able to handle it, and in fact they could. Back then, the oil hydraulic clutch was absolutely high-tech and made shifting easy, at least shifting up. Shifting down was harder because the driver had to engage the clutch, then the throttle, and then re-engage the clutch.
Da muss man doppelt kuppeln, habe ich mir sagen lassen, und dann Gas geben und dann wieder rein.
Traditionally, all Porsche tractors were painted carmine red. An elegant design, right down to the detail, set new optical standards. Christoph hesitates to describe a lowly piece of farm equipment as beautiful in the classical sense, but he sees the proportions and the wonderfully curved nose as exceptionally well done. It quickly acquired its own fans, who lovingly nicknamed the Porsche Junior Red Nose. The Junior itself was available in 3 variations: long, short, and narrow. Narrow was for wine growers. The short Porsche Junior was specially conceived for farms with steep slopes and lots of green fields. In other words, the perfect lawnmower. A Porsche Junior is made up of some 2,000 well-thought-out and expertly designed and machined parts. The advanced hydraulic clutch demands gratifyingly little from the driver's muscles. The engineers placed the drive for the mower right between the axles. Additional implements can be hitched onto the tow ball on the rear. Christoph lifts the gracefully curved nose to inspect the single-cylinder 14-horsepower diesel engine with 822 cc's. He describes it as a genuine pioneer in lightweight construction, since the engine and transmission casing are cast entirely out of a special aluminum silicone alloy, silumin. It also has no fan belts, which make it more robust and helps cut down on maintenance. The modular concept that Porsche engineer Karl Rabe developed allowed a choice of 1, 2, 3, or 4-cylinder engines. Bauer sees it as ingenious and typically Porsche. The gear reduction and differential lock make for 2x3 forward gears and enable the Porsche Junior to handle the roughest terrain. Christoph says the original brochure stressed the wonderful visibility on all sides, hardly unusual in a tractor. But a day's work with this thin steering wheel could leave a farmer's hand calloused. And the only shock absorber is a spring under the seat, so trundling over the fields on it could get pretty bumpy. Even so, this tractor was the most advanced of its time. The advertising slogan said Porsche Diesel, built for the future. So the future belonged to Porsche Diesel. Advanced or not, Porsche Diesel halted its tractor production in 1963. The German market was flooded with cheaper machines made by foreign competitors. Christoph muses that if the Porsche Diesel Junior People's Tractor had never existed, German farmers might still be plowing their fields with horses and oxen. This all-round machine is robust and easy to maintain. At 25,000 units, it was the best-selling tractor of its time and definitely a milestone in automotive history. Much like the pioneering VW Beetle and Porsche 356, also with air-cooled engines, the Porsche Diesel Junior set new standards for its time.